let's move into why Franklin, right? So we appreciate you guys joining us again, and now I'll get a little bit of an overview of the product. And now that we've kind of figured out where we're trying to go with our pitch, where we're trying to position with the customer, let's kind of differentiate on the product side. So if you're new to us, if you don't know us, I'm going to kind of go through this relatively quickly because I know we've got some repeat offenders on the presentation, but we are based out of San Jose. Franklin was founded in late 2018, right? 2019. And we brought product to Hawaii for the first beta test, basically in the West Coast, right? 2021, very quietly did some installs and didn't really want to beta test on the industry itself, on a product launch. We know you guys were dealing with some scar tissue from people we won't name and wanted to really make sure that we had a hard landing here and we're off and running. So we've now got our headquarters in San Jose. We've got offices across the US. And then we do manufacture these in Shenzhen, China, wholly 100%. People ask often, is it made in the USA? Not even a little bit. But that's okay. There's a reason why, and this is part of the positioning. I want to talk about this. As you guys may know, supply chain in power electronics is a doozy of a business. It's hard enough just to get breakers. But when you're really trying to get the best quality components, it requires some pretty heavy duty relationships. And one of the advantages is our background is a lot of our engineers are coming from Emerson Power on the data grade side of the business. And so we've got supply chain relationships with Texas Instruments, Infineon. We're getting prismatic LFP cells from CATL, who's the largest cell manufacturer in the world. We actually have a supply agreement with them. And so part of it is being able to be in the backyard, be right in the sandbox where everything is, literally, and put the product together, quality control it, check it, test it, send it to you knowing it's going to work. Our RMAs are under the double digits with thousands of these batteries out there. So just want to let you know, for us, it's, until we see manufacturing path forward in the US that's clean and proves that these things are going to work for you guys, we're going to continue to make them at our headquarters, at our other headquarters in Shenzhen, where our manufacturing plant is. But we are scaled to produce a significant amount of product, and we just launched worldwide. So I know we're in Australia, some other countries for the first time. Over 150 patents pending on the product. So a lot of people wondering, are we going to be around? Well, we're backed by Sequoia Capital. We're backed by Oppo Plus. We just finished our B round. We're now talking to American investors so that we can dance around and play with some of the, beautiful benefits of this IRA. We are focused on bringing a form of production to the US in the next few years. And so it's a brand and a product that you really can count on. Again, our cell warranty comes from CATL. That's important to know that the largest cell manufacturer in the world backs these battery cells for 12 years as part of our warranty. And we've got regional sales and technical support across the United States, from the Northeast down to Southeast, Texas, Midwest, Southwest, West Coast. And between Solar Power Magazine, Solar Surge, all these little prints that have been coming out, Franklin has definitely been a bit of a doll on that side of things. And again, we really want to focus on bringing you guys a cost savings. The user experience is like this was made for installers as much as it was for homeowners. I think when you finally commission the battery, you will see that very much so. But it's good to know for people that, we are working with the partners, we're working with you to co-market, to co-brand, and get the word out there on Franklin. Product is extremely safe. As I mentioned, the prismatic LFP cells that have no thermal runaway risk, extremely reliable. So it's a simple design we'll talk about in a second, but also widely available via distribution. So you can go out, be selling this to your homeowners. And if you're in one of those areas where like a permit takes 12 seconds to get, install it the next day. Like they're around. They're not hard to get. If they are hard to get, then yell at your distributor for not stocking, and make sure, even if you're a small little installer, one of the best things you can do if you're selling Franklin right now and you kind of have an idea of what your run rate is to say, hey, distribution guy, here's my forecast for the next 6 months. Please make sure you have these stocked. And yeah, he's going to call you every month to make sure you're hitting your quota, but at least you'll have product. And I can't stress that enough for you guys that are, especially if you're a sales guy, bug your sales manager, bug everybody all the way up to make sure that information is getting downstream so you have product, because it's here for you guys. We have it. Easily programmable for all markets. So we have customers in Arkansas doing self-consumption and just and switching into backup when the storms hit. We've got people running time of use in Arizona where they're charging off the grid in the morning and discharging it at the high period at night. A lot of different methods of doing it. Obviously, we're going to see software developments like we've never seen over the next 5-6 months, and we're really excited to be working with a lot of our partners and installers. We have a lot of open forums on product development and saying, what would you like to see? We're out here developing that. Just like the blue light on the battery. when a customer complained, 24 hours later, we had a timer on that thing so he could shut it off at night, so it didn't piss off his neighbor. Big value out here with the product. It's a single product line, agnostic to everything, and stacks all the way up to basically running like a small hospital in a third world country. I mean, 38.4 kilowatt power rating on stackable side, and all the way up to 204 kilowatt hours of storage capacity. It's easy to install as long as you're strong. So it is a soft objection from 99.9% of our installers. It's very heavy, so you got to eat Wheaties. Photos or it didn't happen kind of thing. It's extremely heavy battery, but if you're selling Franklin, you don't have to worry about that. It's only, we always think it's only heavy once, but there are tools out there to make sure it stays in place. If you're like a musician, a guitar player, and you've got one of those little Vox amps, then you know that those things, when you look at it, you never think it's going to weigh what it does when you pick it up. It's always crazy. So yeah, LFP, even though it is safer, more reliable, more renewable, going to last longer, it is heavier than an MC and has a slightly less dense power output space. One of the cool things about Franklin, you're going to be able to integrate the grid, right? Your solar, your batteries, a backup generator, your car, all sorts of options into the battery as power sources for the customer. This makes it extremely flexible. As an AC coupled battery, this can really work with any type of power source, and we'll be unlocking things and working, with the new technologies as they come on board. So this is warranted for off-grid use and is off-grid ready out of the box. Customers love this, and it's important because there's an actual off-grid button on the battery. If you want to sell an absolute ton of Franklins, all you do is walk the customer through the features and then say, and this is your off-grid button. And if you can press this button anytime you want, it's going to require a few things of you, right? You're going to have to manage your energy like you're living off-grid. The advantage you have now being grid tied is that, well, you're grid tied. If something goes wrong, as long as the grid's up, you're good to go. But now you have batteries. You can run off your solar and your batteries alone. If the grid gets too low, it will bring the power back on, but you're going to need to manage it. Make sure you don't run out of battery. But there is an off-grid button, and all I have to do is press it. So really cool. Most homeowners kind of give you a yippee-ki-yay and slap your butt on the way out the door. And then single site and fleet view real-time monitoring. So this is really easy for the customer to track, monitor, as well as it is for your installers to see what the battery's doing. So we've got really 3 components of the system. You've got your FranklinWH app, real-time monitoring, electricity generation, and consumption. I know we all love all that consumption monitoring out there, and you guys probably trust it like you trust your skeezy uncle. But the reality is that our consumption trackers are in there. They're extremely accurate. If you are doing a partial backup via a Hawaiian tie-in, something like that, you're going to need to put external CTs to track that energy on the non-backed up loads. But customer can see what their solar's doing, home's using, all in real time. They can see how it's reacting on the app. The A-Gate, like I mentioned, this is our controller. That's the brain of the system. Manages all your power sources, grid, solar, battery, generator, monitors it, manages it. Inside of the A-Gate, we have optional smart circuits. These usually run somewhere in a couple $100 from your distributor. And these are up there for 240 volt 80 amp and 240 volt 50 amp or 120 split smart circuits. So what these do is they take your dumb circuits and they show them up real good. If you are using too much power for what you have in backup capacity, it's going to turn those large loads off, shut it down. One of the other things, it might be something that I want to run my AC during the day when I have solar load side support, kind of like what Enphase preaches and sells. Do the same thing with our system. We've got the islanding capability. So during the day, you might be able to use that AC, you run your pool pump, or you might even come home and charge the car. But if nighttime hits, that AC doesn't have enough power to run if it's on a single battery, and c'est la vie, right? It turns that circuit off. We have one lady who uses this to turn the hot water off on her teenagers all the time in the morning. And then the A power, this is our battery. Listen, guys, there's 1 billion batteries out there, right? Solark is paired with like 40 of them. We are our own entity. This is not a DC system. This is an AC coupled system. And the reason we like AC is because homes are AC. This allows us all the different power sources that are out there to create a really vast and diverse system for your homeowner as technology changes. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. Panels might get better, inverters might get better. Whatever it is, as long as it's converting AC, which is what the home needs, our system's going to work with it. So this is why we stuck with the AC coupled, because it really, A, gives you multiple points of failure on your system, but also allows you to expand the system very easily in the future. And it works with anything that's pre-existing. As soon as you guys figure out how to install these at an affordable rate, there's about a couple million people that don't have batteries that are going to want retrofits. Right? Their grandfathering's coming up in like 5 years. So get ready. Compatible with new and existing, as I mentioned. So highly scalable. And then this is a 12-year warranty on our battery and our A-gate. You've got the battery itself is, that's right. A-Power is a 12-year, 43 megawatt hours, no cycle limit. Reason we could do no cycles is because, again, we've got that EV grade prismatic LFP in the battery. It's super tough, operates in -4 degrees up to 122 degrees. I'll say that one more time. -4 to 122 degrees. We do not have any language around the warranty outside of that in regards to heat or cold. It's because we have heat blankets. So when it gets super cold, we're going to keep that LFP warm, as well as active cooling and fans to keep it cool. And I live in Arizona. Trust me, we need it. So you guys can see down here on the stacking table, and I think we might see that again in this, the batteries do go. One battery, 5 kilowatt continuous, 10 kilowatt peak surge. Two batteries going to run you 10 kilowatt continuous, or 42 amps, and 84 amps surge. As it goes on up the list, you guys can see it gets relatively absurd, but you do get capped out on your output at around 8 batteries at 38.4 kilowatt output. One of the great things about the app, guys, is it's really simple. So as you'll hear me talk about the battery in a second, the app itself is really easy. It's kind of just rainbows and unicorns, but then it also has some like really good, easy to understand data for people that are maybe have a little more sophisticated mind. But what people won't ever have an issue is seeing what the system is doing. And I would encourage you to download this app on the Apple or the Android store, get it on there. We do have a demo that you can use to show your customers how to turn off their circuits, or how to wire in their generator, what that's going to look like, or how to review their energy use on the daily. And again, this is most of this system with Franklin. I think it's like 90% of our service calls are handled completely remotely via the app. So it makes it really easy for us to push software fixes. If a system's acting funny, maybe it needs to operate at a different voltage, whatever the thing is, to hopefully try to keep you guys from having to run out. I'd say most of our fixes can be done from the app remotely. For emergency backup mode, we're going to walk through the modes here real quick. Customers can use this to back up just their essentials. They can bring in some of those additional loads. Hell, they can typically back up the whole panel if they want to, as long as the circuits are under 30 amps. They're going to function, right? Well, I should say take it under 20 amps. They're going to function on a single battery continuous. Their startup is over that, we can surge up to 42 continuous. But really, whole home starts with 2 batteries. And when you're doing that, we can start adding those heavy loads that in a backup scenario, again, will shed if there's not enough output. and you can control those from your phone if you're worried about draining your battery. It's very easy to find how much power I have left, how long I can expect my system to work based off my average load over the last few days. At that point in time, I can start making some provisions and things that I can do to move off. From self-consumption side, this is where NEM is mostly going to sit for probably 10 months of the year, right? 10 and a half months of the year, unless you're one of those people who wants to get crazy and do export. In self-consumption mode, your battery is not going to export to the grid. Just want to make sure you know that. You're going to use the power, which if you're in San Diego, Southern California, Data Center, PG&E, this is where you're going to be most of the time. And this is a great thing where a customer can set, do I want to leave 20, 15, 30% for backup in case the event of a weather issue? And we do have a weather button in the app, again, called Storm Hedge, that the customer is worried about a weather event. They can press that. The battery is going to automatically detect that event, push it into backup mode, and charge it off the grid fully, so the customer has power when that hits. Again, time of use here. You're going to want to verify this if you're using any of the modeling tools currently, you're really going to want to get that green button data into the modeling tool. If your battery predictor or your savings calculator does not take green button data, I would hammer on them to do so. It's going to be essential for accurate design. And again, these heavy loads are going to be going on the smart circuits. Sometimes people just use it to build a sub panel, right? And they call it the non-critical loads. People put like the washer and the dryer on one, and then they'll put the electric vehicle or whatever on the other. And this allows them, again, to utilize this if they have solar support and they're happy with it. It also allows them to turn those off if they're worried about draining their battery in a multi-day outage. Let's go into here. I'm not going to dig in too much on the A gate, but let you guys kind of take a peek behind the curtain here. As you guys can see, we have a built-in ATS, the CTs, which track where the energy flows and tell the system where it needs to go. They're all in there. And the reason I show you this is because there's a lot of new technology out there. And there's kind of two ways to do it, right? Either you're a Rolex and you operate off the old school gears and switches and things that move. If this moves, this moves. What's that song? If you move, I move. And then we've got the newer, more digitally focused frequency shifting products that are kind of operate more like an Apple Watch. And the reality is, right, Rolexes have been collected. They last over time. This type of operation is simple. It works. That's why you have a really high satisfaction rate with Franklin versus all these systems over here that are really trying to do a lot and really just don't have the components to do them, nor the technology isn't there. You ask anybody at SolarEdge or Tesla about frequency shifting, and they'll go on a rant for days, but it's where 85% of those service calls come from. So we've gone for a more analog approach, right? You've got kind of multiple positions that you can be in with this ATS here, but think of it as like, all right, I got my solar, my power, and my grid. Grid goes down, I got my solar, my battery, and my generator. Right, and you can kind of pick through, or I've got my solar, my electric car, and my batteries, right? So it's going to find the setting it needs to be at, and it switches between those power sources at 16 milliseconds. Again, I want to harken back to what I said in the beginning, where 200, I think 200 people in R&D, and there's a lot of those engineers are coming from Emerson Power, which is the foremost maker of semiconductors over in China. I mean, their data grade center communications devices are incredible. So again, one of the main features of Franklin. Lots of versatility, by the way, on connection. You can go Ethernet. Regrettably, if you need to do Wi-Fi, go for it. But there's also a 4G SIM card in there where you can customize, set a data plan for 6 years, kind of set it and forget it, so you never have to worry about the customer's internet. That there is a charge. You do pay for that when you do it. What else did I want to tell you about the A power? So couple things, right? 13.6
Hey, Justin.
kilowatt. Yeah.
Oh, hey, I was just wondering if you'd be willing to take some questions while still on the A gate.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. For product warranty, is it 12 years on the A gate, just like the A power?
I'm going to catch my words on that because I'm not totally sure if it's 10 years or 12 years.
Okay, I'll be sure to follow that with a
Yeah. Last time I checked, it was 12, but things changed. I don't know.
All right.
Just kidding.
Please proceed.
I think
Yeah.
yeah, I don't. I think it's that is one thing I should be clear on. I think the A-gate is a 10-year warranty. And the A-gate is, did you say, is it 50 pounds? Yes, I believe. The battery is actually 400 pounds, but the A-gate is 50 pounds. The A-power, uh-oh, why does this say 50 pounds? Oh, that was, it's, we have the weight wrong on the A-power, or the A-power slide. Michael Mueller, good catch. I think that the weight of the A-gate is 50 pounds, guys. Any more questions?
No, let's proceed.
What's that, Lynn?
Let's proceed. Thanks.
Awesome. Perfect. So yeah, so moving on from the A-gate to the A-power, 13.6 kilowatt hour battery. It's actually probably closer to, I've heard things of 15 kilowatt hour. I've heard 14.7. But what we do is we do leave a kind of an extra power bank in there. So for a couple things. A, we're going to undersell or under promise, over deliver on the customer side of things, right? The customer is buying 13.6 kilowatt hour. They get to use 13.6 kilowatt hour. If you look at any of the other leading brands, they're selling a 10 and the customer can use 9, right? So this puts us about 50% more power than other batteries on the marketplace. I want to repeat, 50% more power than our leading competitors. I'm not going to say their names right now. Oh, screw it, I don't care. Enphase and SolarEdge, I think around 9 kilowatt usable. SolarEdge might be 9.7. But the point of leaving that extra power in there is A, just blast the warranty out of the water. B, we want to make sure that they have power for a multi-day outage. A lot of customers might drain their battery in an outage, and the next day they don't have power to start up their inverter. I think this is very common with Tesla. So with respect to that, we do leave that in there for black start capability. That's what black start means. So in the event the battery's dead or been drained, it can still start up the solar. And I think that's kind of one of Enphase's shining features that they have, if it works. Again, works with any AC solar system out there. So Enphase, AP Systems, SolarEdge, SMA, Xantrax, Fronius, seen it all. The Xantrax Micros is probably the craziest one because that's actually an off-grid system. But again, scalable all the way up to 15 batteries with a tier 1 LFP cell. So just kind of a few talking points from your guys' side of things, and then also, the advantage that you get by carrying Franklin with your installer or with your crew to your customers. So, A, less truck rolls. Ticked off customers, whether you come out and fix it and everything's working perfect afterwards, they still had to call you. It's not a good experience as if they just never had to call you. Simple relay-based design is very much pretty headache free from the most part when managing your fleet. I know a lot of our installers that have a lot of batteries out in the field do not spend a ton of time having to take care of them. Not like they did when you had, no, okay. Hyper focused on smarter battery solutions. So we're not an ecosystem of products. Franklin does one thing and we do it really freaking well. That's make a battery and a controller that works splendidly with, some special unique features like the smart circuits. We're going to continue to hyper focus on that. And we only work through channels. So we don't sell direct to your customers online, tell them to call you and do the install for them. We only go through distributors so that you can get a better service experience, make sure that you've got other people that have your back. And then, ideally, as we move into this kind of new ecosystem, right? The new customer has a long ways to go before they're done with you now. We've had customers that got solar, maybe they got solar with their EV charger. I used to do a lot of those in like 2019 to 2020, 21. And then, mostly partial backup for my customers. I did a few whole home backups with some Tesla Powerwalls, but with Enphase, that was never really an option, right? But you could do these kind of partial only backup. And then you know, as it gets more expensive as things go on, right? Then we got smart panels, and then we got whole home backup, and then maybe the customer lives in Texas and they're looking for a generator to get them through the winter. These are customers that you can keep coming back to, keep adding to their ecosystem, and as their electrification journey expands, you're going to be there to meet them and their needs, and just gives you one more reason to offer them stellar service, because there's plenty of times for you to go back and expand those home designs. So just in summary, before we open up questions, we've kind of flown through this, but that's good. It's we all got busy days. Multiple easy to understand application modes. You know, screenshot this just to help you have a single source of what does the Franklin do. You got time of use, self-consumption with time of use arbitrage, backup mode, off-grid mode. Off-grid mode is my favorite. Smart circuit controls, where we can do load shedding and turn off large appliances in an outage to manage the battery, a la span panel for dummies. Can program those appliances not to run during peak hours, super huge. Can also control appliances remotely. So if I'm traveling the country and I'm going to be gone for a few weeks, and it's, you know, my house is kicking on the AC because it's getting cold or it's getting hot outside, I can actually turn that off manually from my phone, much like I would do on a smart home app like Vivint or something like that, without having smart home in my home. Big advantage, high capacity batteries. Guys, with time of use avoidance, the more power you have, the more capacity you have, the more savings you have access to. It's really simple. Smaller the battery, the less savings. The more power you're going to net meter, the more you're going to lose to the grid, especially on systems over 6, 7, 8 kilowatts. That's going to be the thing where I think customers are going to have a lot of dissatisfaction, because they're only going to be able to use about 70% of the power that system generates, even with the battery there, if they're only doing 10 kilowatt. 50% more usable power than the leading brands. We're equipment agnostic, works with anything. Throw me an inverter, I'll tell you yay or nay. As long as it's AC, should be good. One of my favorite features of Franklin is to customers, especially those that already have solar and looking to add batteries, we can use yesterday's technology with today's results. So take advantage of the new technology of islanding systems and black start. Even when the system is a legacy customer with old M190s or 250s, or they got that old SMA or SunPower inverter, retrofit or add on with ease. And then also now, but also key in the future, right? A chance to come back to the customer. And then this is an industry leading standard warranty, best in class, 12 years. And this is standard, right? This is not extended warranty you have to pay extra for. It comes standard, 12 years, no cycle limits, and 43 megawatt hour throughput. Using best in class components and chemistry, we've got that safe LFP prismatic cells and high quality components and supply chain partnerships, guaranteeing you supply. So from a comparison side of things, please reach out to your local reps. We can get you these documents in the home to be able to reference and help you guys sell better. And yeah, we stack up really well against the competition. If you haven't already, it's a deep dive on YouTube to get everything you need. And if you're a new installer, for whatever reason you haven't registered with us, please go on now. You've got 14 days to buy 2 batteries, commission them. You can get another one free. It's almost over. But yeah, get Franklin certified, get out there, try the different modeling tools, and appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for your time.